Americans have a higher incidence of maternal mortality. So if you correct our population for race, we're not as much of an outlier as it would otherwise appear.
Okay, so that is Senator Bill Cassidy, a Republican of Louisiana, just casually saying that, like, sure, Louisiana looks really bad when it comes to maternal mortality, but if you only pay attention to the white folk, it doesn't look as bad. That sounds really bad. And he seems to get it because he kind of tries to nuance it, correct himself, saying, now I say that not to minimize the issue, but to focus the issue as to where it would be. For whatever reason, people of color have a higher incidence of maternal mortality. Here's what I'm gonna say. Even with that little added caveat, that doesn't make what you said better. And in particular, for whatever reason, would you like to look into that? Would you like to talk to, I don't know, those women or doctors or activists or academics? Like, if you've identified that one community has a far higher rate of the moms dying, that's not just like I don't know, and then move on. Maybe that should be something that would like spur you to action. I mean, you are, after all, I'm not gonna swear, a United States Senator. Maybe you could save some of those lives. Maybe there could be some sort of bipartisan legislation or something like that, Francesca. You're talking about moms dying and you're supposed to be pro-life.
But once you correct for race, i.e., once you just cut out black women and brown women from the equation and just put them over here in a we don't care about you bucket, then actually, like, maternal mortality is pretty good. Yay, you see how I did that? You see how I just ignored, that's not racism. I just chose to ignore black women. It's insanely crass. And of course, it reminds me of the Mitch McConnell sort of mask off phrase of like, well, black people have the same voting rates as ordinary, regular, normal Americans. It's so clear who they care about living and who they care about dying. And the real thing with this that strikes me is that in Samuel Alito's insanely just like contempt-filled decision that was leaked, he actually talks about maternal mortality among black and brown Americans, women, as like a reason why we should overturn Roe v. Wade, because he says, so many women of those communities get abortion, so actually it's eugenics. And you're like, you don't care. We know you don't care because look at your other allies over here, like Bill Cassidy. You don't care about their lives.
No, definitely not. But we do. Let's give you the numbers so that you can know about it. So each year, apparently averaged out in the US, 17 mothers die for every 100,000 pregnancies in the country, with rates higher among black women than other racial groups, is according to the CDC. So, good luck getting the right to care about that, either because of who it's affecting or the fact that the data comes from the CDC. It's dead on arrival in both cases. You can see the United States compared to other countries on this chart of maternal mortality. Mexico, get it together, geez. But anyway, there's a couple of the countries there. The US comes right after Mexico, Chile, Hungary, and Turkey. New Zealand not doing that well, actually, surprisingly. Republic of Korea, you would expect to be a little bit higher. But anyway, some of those countries, Poland, Iceland, Greece, Finland, Sweden, show that you can have much better rates in terms of this metric. By the way, that's for the US. Specifically in Louisiana, 4 black mothers die for every white mother, and 2 black babies die for every 1 white baby. Louisiana's maternal mortality rate exceeds the national average. It's 47th out of 48th, 5th highest infant mortality rate in the United States, Louisiana. So obviously massive problem there. Like, it seems like something that maybe you should care about, maybe you should do something about. Like, for whatever reason, like, shouldn't you have a spark of curiosity that would want to know how, like, 4 times the rate? That shouldn't just be a thing that Bill Cassidy should put a couple of weekends of research into. That's a thing that should shut down a news cycle. We should focus as a nation on it. And you can, by the way. This is yet another topic that John Oliver did a great segment on like a year or 5 years ago or whatever. He was way ahead of the curve talking about that. It's especially a problem amongst people of color. For women generally, though, it is just well documented. The doctors don't listen to them and don't believe them when they talk about things like pain, like the symptoms that they have. I've seen nothing in the past few years that indicates that that's getting any better. Maybe that's something that we should get around as a society to dealing with.
Yeah, my back hurts right now. Where's my massage? All right, I'm pregnant. Let's do this. I'm gonna milk this. No, it is. Look, it's really striking to see the countries that beat us in maternal mortality, like Hungary. You know who just held their political convention in Budapest this last weekend? CPAC. All right, you got Donald Trump speaking next to Viktor Orban and Tucker Carlson. It's like this is the country they want to be. Oh, we want more women to die in childbirth or because of childbirth related causes. How can you say you are pro-life? You don't care what you, that is so clear. Because if you compare these rates to also the health of the baby, my guess is that there's a correlation there, meaning the more maternal mortality, the more the baby is actually not also doing all that great. That means that this is not about the mother's life. This is not about the baby's life. This is not about life. This is about strapping half the population with a burden that they do not want, with a choice that they don't get to make. It is about cornering them. It is about taking away their rights, and it is about dooming them. I know it's sad to say this and it's difficult to say this, but that one of the leading causes of poverty is actually having children, because a lot of people are unable to decide when and how they continue or stop or start a family, right? And they don't have the money to do that in a lot of cases. Again, 6 out of 10 women who have abortions already have kids.
Check out the Damage Report podcast each day, wherever you get your podcasts, whether Pocket Casts or Stitcher or iTunes. You can join me as I give you the news and stories you want, with a range of co-hosts and interview guests jumping in on the fun each day. Again, that's the Damage Report, wherever you get your podcasts. And if you get them at iTunes, don't forget to rate and review. Sometimes I'll read them live on the show.